sure I'm glad I got a haircut this morning.
Just for clear. Reach?
No.
I told you I'm here to make you look good.
So it takes a lot of work to do that.
Everybody is waiting on me. Oh,
No pressure. No pressure.
I'm sorry.
I don't want my shirt. That's not my shirt. I like to move around.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't want to shirt. It'll be ugly.
How's that?
That may work. Oh.
You're ahead of everybody, see?
You're hired, Chief.
Channel 13. Is everybody ready? We good?
Good.
Wait a minute. Good morning. Thanks for coming today. I want to talk today about our new aviation program that the Daytona Beach Police Department is going to be putting out in partnership with the great Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. A little bit about this program. We are going to have 2 UASs, unmanned aerial systems, also known as drones, that we are going to be implementing here at the police department. The goal of this technology is public safety. We're going to be partnership, like I said, with Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, but also with our fire department, because we're going to work together on a lot of issues that we have out here in the city. Natural disasters, fires, hurricane mitigation. The big thing to me is the uptick in the missing persons we've had with the Alzheimer's and dementia that are getting out of these nursing homes, and we need some equipment, another tool that we can use to find these people. I think this equipment here is going to be a lifesaver. It is just, it's the future. It's great technology, and it's going to save lives. The unit will have 1 sergeant and 4 officers, and it's not going to be a full-time unit. It'll be a lateral assignment, meaning they'll have other functions within the police department, but when needed, they will come together working in 2-man teams to deploy the technology. We're in the early stages of this technology. The 5 officers are going through the training right now through the FAA to get their pilot's license, and then they'll go to a practical training. And I hope to have the program up and running end of this year, early part of next year, when it'll be fully operational. We're going to talk. I brought with me here is Dr. Joe Soretta from Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. He's going to talk a little bit more about the program and what we're doing.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you very much, Chief. I appreciate the opportunity to speak before you. And Embry-Riddle has been in the aviation education business since 1926. But it wasn't until 2011 that we started to teach you unmanned aircraft systems. So an unmanned aircraft system is comprised of many components. One component is the unmanned aircraft, which you all know as drones. But there are some other components as well. The ground control equipment, spares to continue the airworthiness of those aircraft, those are important too. But there's a human element to an unmanned aircraft system. And that human element are those skills and knowledge for that crew member to be able to safely operate an unmanned aircraft. The rules, the understanding of the rules that it takes to safely operate that system, knowledge about the performance of that aircraft. All these components combined create an unmanned aircraft system, or a UAS. All 3 of our campuses, our Daytona Beach, Prescott, Arizona, and worldwide campuses have UAS programs, either at the baccalaureate level or at the graduate level program. And we're constantly, continuously improving our programs to remain relevant to the UAS industry, because as probably most of you know, it's a very fast-moving industry. There's a tremendous amount of capability with this technology. So in continuing to improve our curriculum, we're always looking for opportunities to immerse our students into practical applications. One such example of a practical application just recently in May of 2017, our Worldwide and Daytona Beach faculty collaborated with the Department of Emergency Management in the state of Oklahoma. And we wanted to understand with the Department of Emergency Management in the state of Oklahoma how this technology could expedite the disaster relief and the disaster assessment process. So we, in May, moved to Oklahoma with students to immerse them with the use of this technology while simultaneously working with the state of Oklahoma officials. And on May 16, 2017, an EF2 tornado had struck Elk City. It was the first time in the history of Elk City that a tornado had hit. Based on our other Study Away program, which was studying severe weather, we were very close to where that tornado was located. So close, in fact, we were airborne 20 minutes after that tornado had lifted. While we were airborne, we were live streaming our video into the Emergency Operations Center in the state of Oklahoma, in Oklahoma City, about 2 hours drive away. Over the next 3 days, we continued to survey and perform disaster assessment of the tornado track, which is estimated to be about 8 miles long. And we continue to live stream. Our students continue to gain practical experience. And later we learned from Oklahoma emergency management officials that the National Weather Service used our live feed for the first time in history in support of performing damage assessment. So we are quite proud that our students were able to do that. We moved to the southeast corner of the state where Doppler radar had indicated 2 additional touchdowns of tornadoes. But the terrain is varied and populated with dense and tall trees, so it's not so easy to do. We were able to survey a couple of thousand acres in a couple of minutes with 3 aircraft flying simultaneously to provide that emergency manager with confirmation that there was no damage associated with those 2 suspected tornado touchdowns. We then moved into a floodplain area immediately following that to survey flood damage that had also affected that same county within the state. We were able to completely immerse our students through this, with this technology in this practical application. As our students were packing up, the emergency manager who was with us for that county had received a call. A farmer was extremely concerned of the loss of his cattle because of this flood. And he turned to us and asked if we could help. So the Daytona Beach and Worldwide faculty who were collaborating together on this event stood back and watched our students perform. They launched the aircraft. 3 minutes later, we found that herd, reported it. Well, what we noticed was that emergency manager had a deep concern for his community. We wanted to bring that home. We thought, how could we locally do that? So Professor 30-Acre from our Worldwide campus reached out to the chief and started to discuss how we could collaborate, how we could work together, how we could partner to enable similar capabilities with the use of this technology. We recognized from this chief that same tenacity for care and concern for this community. We also recognized his intellectual horsepower to recognize this technology could do significant improvements to increase the robustness of the resilience for the Daytona Beach community for other hazardous weather. Tornadoes do happen here, but also hurricanes. He also mentioned the need for search and rescue operations. This technology is certainly apt to performing search and rescue operations, as I just mentioned, 3 minutes with the herd of lost cattle in the floodplains of Oklahoma, but also as an example, the communities of lost folks with these retirement homes. The partnership that we have developed as a result, Worldwide will continue to provide free online education for certificating these officers. So as these officers are preparing, they will become certificated remote pilots by the FAA. Our Daytona Beach campus will continue to tutor those officers until they complete their certification exams, and then help stand up the aviation unit with some guidance and knowledge that the university is well known for. And we will help the department with establishing a safety management system with metrics and performance and monitoring the safety of the program, standard operating procedures, and help guide them with safety policies and procedures implemented across the city's area of operation. The Daytona Beach based faculty includes Anthony Galante, and Anthony will discuss how we'll do that with this partnership and relationship with the Daytona Beach Police Department. Thank you.
Thank you. Chief, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Hello, my name is Anthony Galante. I'm a professor for the UAS program over at the Daytona Beach campus. Recently retired with Daytona Beach Police Department approximately 2 years ago, and graciously the chief has brought me back on as part-time to help facilitate the movement and the collaboration between Embry-Riddle and Daytona Beach Police Department as well. So I'm happy to be here and be in both roles and to bring the expertise in those areas. So one of the first things that I'd like to really talk about is privacy. That is on everybody's mind. That's a huge issue, and that's a big deal with UAS and with the community. So we wouldn't be here without community acceptance, and that's what we're doing here, is to educate as well. So the Department of Justice came out with policy guidelines in regards to respecting civil liberties, and in regards to respecting civil liberties and people's rights. So as we develop the SOP, or the Standing Operating Procedure, for Daytona Beach Police Department, we're going to keep that in mind, and we're going to follow the Department of Justice guidelines all the way through as well. We're also going to have to keep in mind that we have to protect privacy of the citizens. So right now, within the SOP, the draft policy that we're creating right now, this is going to be completely reactive. There is going to be nothing proactive here. This will be completely reactive. If we have a search and rescue mission, we've got a post hazardous weather incident, search and rescue, and we can be taking pictures of crime scenes as well. There's no need to launch a $1.6 million helicopter to take a couple of pictures when this can do just for a couple of hours as well. Going along with the Department of Justice guidelines and policy, policy management is going to be key. Policy revision, staying up to date with current law, current case law that's going to be developed through the use of UAS all the way through is going to be paramount for us as well. And the most important thing is transparency. How do we stay transparent with the community? We want you to know everything that we know, and we want you to know how we're going to operate this, when we're going to operate this, and over the next 6 months as we go out into the community, asking for advice on how you, the community, want us to operate this. That's going to be key and critical for the development of our SOP as well. As Dr. Soretta mentioned, we are doing everything per the FAA and the Part 107 as well. Anybody that is going to be in operation here is going to be certified by the FAA, which is key and critical. We're going to have permission from the FAA. We're going to have basically what they call a COA, or a Certificate of Authorization. We'll have a blanket COA, and then we will going to have a jurisdictional COA that we're going to get either citywide or countywide at this point in time, so that in case if we have any type of mutual aid requests, we can fill those needs as well, not just be here in the city as well, especially for disaster management. We'll also be providing, as Dr. Soretta said, safety SMS, or safety management system metrics, so that we can continue to operate UAS safely. That is the most important part. We want to be able to operate this equipment safely. We're going to also provide an ERP, or emergency response plan, so that in case something does happen or there is an anomaly, that we can respond appropriately and get back to square one. And most importantly, what I'm going to be, myself and Dr. Soretta, going to be doing here is training and education, the proper training and proper education on how to use UAS. You can definitely go out to Amazon and buy one, and go to YouTube and learn how to fly one, and you can be considered an expert on it. That's not the way. That's not the way we're going to operate this. This is an aviation unit. Make no doubt about it. Any agency that is incorporating UAS in there, it's an aviation unit. These are certified pilots, and these aircraft are going to be registered with the FAA. So this is definitely an aviation unit. This is a big deal, and this is there is some high risk involved with this. And our job here is to educate and mitigate that risk and fly safely and be here for the community. For the different types of training, once our officers here get their remote pilot certificates under Part 107, we're going to have indoctrination training. That should last probably anywhere between 30 and 40 hours on just on what UAS is, how to operate, and what the entire unmanned aircraft system entails, and how it integrates into public safety. The key thing here is utilizing law enforcement and the fire department here both have a stake in this. After the indoctrination training, we're going to give them what we call IQT, or initial qualification training, and I basically call it thermology. How do we fly these things, and how do we get these things up in the air? That is key and critical for the operation, safe operation of the aircraft. And then we're going to get into the specifics of OQT, or operational qualification training, and how do we actually take this and then we apply it into a public safety scenario, and how do we get that information and data back to the decision makers, such as the chiefs, have that actionable intelligence disseminated to the decision makers who have to allocate limited resources that are out there and do that effectively for the betterment of the community. And then some of the stuff that we're going to do is we're going to provide advanced safety training, which is going to be part of that SMS system as well. And this is going to be a long-term deal because this is not one and done. So there is going to be recurrent training that's going to happen every 24 months. My recommendation is that it happens a little bit sooner than that, and that'll be indicated in the training policy as well. Just to keep all the skills sharp, and to keep our officers and to keep our public safety personnel up to date with everything that's going on. Also, there's going to be maintenance programs and then multiple officer selection from both public entities here. So that's kind of the basic roadmap for us here. And again, it's an absolute pleasure to have Daytona Beach Police Department, Embry-Riddle, Daytona campus, and the collaboration with, of course, with Professor 30acre, who started this all. So started this collaboration all the way through. It's a great opportunity to foster this relationship and give back to the university, and in the future, give back to the students of Embry-Riddle, where this will provide some service learning opportunities, where if there's where the students can come out and actually assist the public safety units in some of the areas out here. So I think that's a great opportunity for everybody. Thank you.
And just to finish up, we love our city. The Daytona Beach Police Department, the men and women of this department love this city, and we have to embrace this technology. Anything we can get to protect our citizens and our visitors and keep them safe, we're going to do. So I'm very excited for this new technology, and it's going to save lives at the end of the day. Keeping it simple, this stuff here is going to save people's lives, and we're going to get on board with this, and I'm looking very forward to expanding this program down the road, and hopefully other agencies from around the area will come on board also. And this technology is coming. This is the future of law enforcement. So I'll open up to any questions now. And I want to thank Embry-Riddle, because we are so blessed to have the worldwide leader in aviation in our backyard, and to partner with them, you can't get any better. And you heard Officer Galante, or Professor Galante, and Dr. Soretta say, you've listened to what they say. They're professors and academics, and we're not just opening a box and taking out a toy and flying it around. We are actually going slow, deliberate, implementing policies, getting the top training we can get, certifying our officers, working on the maintenance issues with the UASs. So we are going slow and methodical, trying to get everything in place so we make no mistakes. So when we unveil this, we have a great piece of technology, a great piece of equipment, like I said, stress again, to save lives. And we're partnering with our fire department, and anybody else who wants to partner with us, they're welcome. So I'll open up some questions now.
What kind of features does it have?
It's got, I'll let you talk about it.
So these aircraft are aircraft that Embry-Riddle uses to teach our students, and they are called DJI Inspire ones. These are not necessarily the aircraft that the department will use. We're in the process of overlaying requirements that the department has with capable systems, and using our knowledge about unmanned aircraft systems at Embry-Riddle, we're making a recommendation to the department on what choices they have to choose from that could best fit those requirements that they have. For example, the ability to fly at night, the ability to fly during varying weather conditions, rain, etc. But these particular aircraft are called DJI Inspire 1s, weigh about 6 pounds, and the cameras that are on these today are 4K cameras. They are not zoomable lensed cameras. They don't have the ability that a lot of people think that you could with them. They're wide field of view cameras, even though they're 4K. They're very detailed. It provides an area awareness with these cameras. We have them equipped right now. As you can see, they are wrapped in a rescue skin. When we were in Oklahoma, we determined that it might be a great start to show community involvement with the wrapping that we have on it. And while our students were operating these systems, we often would go on to private land. And a lot of the private landowners that we would occupy were they would see our aircraft and completely open to this technology, which surprised us. During the operation, we would fly, collect information, collect images, and we would provide the landowners a lot of the images that we were collecting to help them with their homeowners insurance claims, which we anticipated they need. Every single one of them absolutely loved the capabilities of the technology that we had brought with us. And the red wrapping on the aircraft also extend our visual line of sight so we can remain compliant to the FAA requirements with a little bit further distance and more capability during the time frame that these aircraft have. Max flight time on them is about 22 minutes. In real world, with real wind conditions, on these aircraft, we're getting about 15 minutes apiece on them. We have developed procedures in which we can sustain operations with 2 aircraft, multiple battery swaps and operations ongoing to sustain for 3 or more hours of continuous coverage based on these techniques that we've built with these aircraft. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Tony?
Can we get an idea of the cost of the program per year?
We're still working that out right now. I can tell you that I'm not going to put a price on human life. So whatever it costs, I'm going to get the best technology we have out there, the best camera systems, anything I can get to save someone's life. I'm not worried about the money at this point in time.
Chief, I know you were talking earlier about the applications for it, such as helping finding missing people and
Yes.
such, also with natural disasters and fires. Can you just kind of go into detail on how it may help with a natural disaster situation or a fire situation?
Sure. I was out in Hurricane Matthew last year, and I was riding around, and it was down wires and buildings falling apart, and we're walking in these buildings and this debris. It's like, wait a second, this thing could fall on us at any time. Well, if we had the UAS, we might be able to fly it in, hover it low, program to get in there and do an assessment of what's going on in there, and we don't have to put our officers at risk. So from that standpoint, absolutely. We had a tornado back several years ago that, we had fallen trees and cars that were, we could have flown this UAS technology in there to make an assessment to see if it's safe to go in there, or if there's not a human life in there, there's really no need to really rush in there anyway. So from that perspective. Also from the uptick of the missing persons, it seems every day around Central Florida we're hearing about this horrible disease, Alzheimer's and dementia, and these victims getting out of these facilities and getting lost. And if you're not on it real quick, one thing that stands out to me is when I was talking with the Central Florida rescue people, I asked them, how does this usually work? Because, with finding missing people, these Alzheimer's patients, they said, usually we find them within 3/4 of a mile. So 80% of the time. So I took that to heart, saying, well, we can search and we can look through yards, but if we had this UAS and we could fly it over, 100 feet, 50, 80 feet, whatever, and get in some of these backyards and these different areas that are kind of hard to get in, we might be able to save time and save somebody's life. So the key is get the information, get quick, get out there, get good systems with good cameras and good technology, so we can feed this back to our real-time crime center, so we can have people looking at it, monitoring it, and our officers related to our officers on the streets. We can move our resources, our assets on the ground into finding missing people. So to me, it's all about the safety, saving lives. What about fires? I know nothing about firefighting. These gentlemen can talk about that. But if you have a house fire fully engulfed or a structure and you want to look and see some, I would rather fly this in there than put a firefighter in there to have a firefighter get injured or, God forbid, seriously hurt. This thing can do. If we lose this, Like again, it's money. Who cares? We can replace equipment. You can't replace human life. So, hope that answered your question.
And what about privacy concerns? I know some people have issues with privacy and drones and feeling that they may be invading someone's personal privacy. What's the line there? Where will you find that kind of balance where being able
Well,
to
we're not going to do it. We're not going to violate any kind of law, any kind of federal law, state law. We're not using it as a surveillance tool or privacy tool. Once again, public safety, saving lives. That's our function here.
And I can just add on that. Just real quick, one of the key concepts, especially for the startup of this, is that no recording of anything really. This is we're going to live stream stuff, so that it is going to be live streamed straight to the command center. So what you see is what you get. It's just like having an extra set of eyes in the sky at that point in time. The only thing that we would record is going to be crime scene pictures and things of that nature, where we have the right and the authority to take that picture at that point in time. So that try to mitigate those concerns is, hey, we're not looking for anything. We're going to be using this for reactive purposes only, number one. And then if it is a crime scene, obviously we're going to do the same evidentiary procedures that we have already outlined in the general orders here at Daytona Beach Police Department, and we'll take care of it that way, like it's always been done. The only difference is that the camera is at 40 feet, 50 feet, 60 feet in the air. So that's kind of the difference there.
We're really focused, like I said. We're going to follow our policies and procedures, and the main function of this is going to be 99% of the time is rescue, search, mitigation of damage and debris after the fact. But my main concern is to save people's lives. Go ahead, Big John.
Hey, Chief, so how's it work? So you got 5 people, 4 and 1.
No, if you would have been late, you would have got it, but you did the whole dissertation. Okay.
You tell me later.
I'm just kidding. No, we got a 5-man unit. We got a sergeant and 4 officers, and it's going to be almost like a lateral duty, a lateral assignment. So you might have officers assigned to patrol, and we try to put our officers. The way we created the unit was we have basically an officer on every shift, and if we have to get deployed, they'll come together. The technology will be deployed, and they'll monitor from there. But they won't be.
Are you going to carry them in a police car? How are you going to do it?
No, we're going to keep them secured in a location, safe location. You can't leave this in police cars. They'll get back. The money we're going to be spending on this stuff with the camera systems, you can't damage them. They're going to be in, I'm sure, Pelican cases. They're going to be completely, weatherproofed and whatnot. So we can just run and get them and deploy them. It's not going to be something we can immediately pull out, and use right away. So if we have, for example, a missing person, we'll have to come to the station real quick, get the technology, and get it up within. And the city, we can get this up probably within like 5-10 minutes if we had to, and get it out there and start using it. So.
Now, will you take 2 out with the battery thing he was telling us about? Because they don't fly very long.
Yeah, we're going to have extra batteries. We're going to actually buy 2 units to start out with. And,
when will the date be that you'll know how much you're going to spend and what kind of?
Next couple months, I'll let you know. Like I said, I don't care what it costs.
Okay.
I don't care what it costs. This is people's lives. You can't put a price on human life.
Okay.
Period. It's not like we're buying something to go, a toy or something like that. This is a piece of technology that saves lives. We're in our main function as a police officer is to save human life, and that's what this is going to do.
Is Echoberger the sergeant in charge?
Sergeant Aaron Coffer is, yes.
All right.
Sir.
Not even close this time.
Chief, in the event of something like brush fire, is it a joint operations situation
Absolutely.
where a DBPD officer will help Daytona Fire to?
One thing I can say about the city of Daytona Beach, because I can speak for that, we all work very well together. So if there's a natural disaster, a fire, a brush fire, the fire department, the police department, public works, all the city departments get together. We have an EOC and we work together and we're joined at the hip. And that's never been an issue, never been a problem. So eventually, hopefully we can, down the road, initially we get some more firefighters and get them trained also.
And as far as Embry-Riddle's concerned, for the first year or something, will Embry-Riddle deploy also for use at a scene?
I don't think we've gotten that far. I'm sure if we need some help, we got the experts here. We got this is the worldwide leaders right here in UAS. So they're in our backyard. So I would say they're going to definitely want to get on board to help us out. I know that their students are looking for practical applications for like an internship. With the academic side of it, you're going to get. Where else can you get better internship than partnering with the police department, fire department, and deploying the UAS? You're going to get some real on-the-job training. Yes.
I was curious because Professor Serrata mentioned the program they deployed in Oklahoma.
Yes.
As I understand it, that was the first ever use of augmented reality software with small UAS for emergency response, and so I just was curious if Daytona Beach PD might be deploying that kind of technology as well.
So we're pretty early into the partnership. We're still providing opportunities for the department to come up with requirements and expanding upon those requirements and augmented reality. So augmented reality that we work with in the state of Oklahoma, if you can imagine a completely damaged community as a result of a significant hazardous weather event such as a hurricane or a tornado. And first responders are on the ground and they're trying to navigate through the debris, but they can't see the road. Having the augmented reality layers would overlay on top of the video where the center of the road lines are located. And its purpose is to provide an enhanced situation awareness to those first responders as they're driving through and receiving that live feed. So that is an option that we're exploring with the police department and the fire folks to understand if they want that requirement. We certainly would identify a path and integrate that path into the educational process should they want to use augmented reality. Absolutely. Thank you.
Any other questions? Tony?
I think plans for this day goes back a few years. I believe your predecessor talked about integrating drone technology for this department. And last month, there was the disappearance of Harold Canfield.
Yes.
Did those circumstances cause this pursuit to pick up a little speed?
No, we've been working on this for like the last 4 or 5 months. So even before Harold was missing, but then I realized that if we would have had this looking for during the search, this would have been a great tool to have. We just weren't ready at the time, but we were already planning on this for those type of incidents. With we have a lot of nursing homes here, a lot of facilities here, assisted living facilities, and I just thought this would be some great technology. And also with the hurricanes, being out in these hurricanes and these tornadoes, and seeing what happens, and I don't want my officers getting hurt or killed, God forbid. We lose enough police officers every year. We lose way too many. One is too many. So this is going to save lives. It's going to save officers' lives. It's going to save citizens' lives, and it's going to make a difference.
Will it have lights and sirens?
No.
Harold was found in somebody's backyard, and you did mention that this technology will enable you to
Yes.
look into people's backyard.
Yeah.
This is a what-if question. What if you spot somebody doing something illegal in their backyard while you're searching for a missing person or doing something else?
That depends. I'm not going to predict future events. I don't know. We're not going to predict future
Does
events.
that give you probable cause, though, to move in?
Yes. If we're acting under good faith that we're looking for somebody, searching for somebody, we find something, then we have to go back and do our legal end of it. But we're not going to just, the main focus, like I said, is safety. And I don't know, what somebody would be doing in their backyard that's illegal. I don't know. Water in the lawn on an off day, odd day. I don't know. You tell me. What's the chance? I don't know.
Will this be used in like SWAT situations? I remember seeing it.
If it's going to save a life, we might use it. Yes, absolutely. It's possible. But that's down the road. We're in the early stages here. We haven't even got our policy done yet. But I was going to say, if we use this thing, legally, following legal guidelines, to see on a SWAT call out or a barricaded subject, somebody with a gun, and if we can get close enough to get some footage where our SWAT team members are going, we're absolutely going to use it. Once again, I'm stressing, it's not to surveil people, it's not to catch people doing illegal stuff in their backyard or anything like that. It's to save lives.
You mentioned the FAA's line of sight requirements.
Mm-hmm.
I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, there are also requirements, the restrictions around airports. And with a city with an airport right in the middle of town, how does that affect the operational area of it?
So the Daytona Beach Police Department and Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University have great relationships with the FAA locally here within the Class C airspace of Daytona International Airport. And there are processes to enable the flight of unmanned aircraft systems within that airspace. And that process is a certificate of authorization or waiver. And it's done under Part 107. And also, because the Daytona Beach Police Department is a public entity, they have another path, which is a public use COA, to enable them to coordinate with the airport authorities to receive that waiver and have the ability to fly within the class airspace that we have here in our community.
Any other questions before we wrap up? Okay, I want to thank you for coming. I want to thank Embry-Riddle. I want to thank the fire department, and I look forward to a very successful program in the next couple of years. Hopefully, we're going to be the worldwide leaders in this type of technology. Thank you.